Matthew 5 is where Jesus teaches nonviolence and enemy love and says that's how you are like God. Luke 6, he reemphasizes the same thing, nonviolence, enemy love, and also adds in, don't judge people. Don't even judge people. That's up to God to do. John 18, before Pilate, that's where Jesus identifies his kingdom by one distinguishing mark. He says, in my kingdom, my followers don't fight. Romans 5, we learned that this is at the heart of God. God loves his enemies to death, and we were all God's enemies, and were converted through his love and his sacrifice, not his slaughter of us, but our slaughter of him. And then Romans 12, getting practical, we learn through Romans 12 and Romans 13 that yes, while the state bears the sword, the church must not. And we don't get to switch hats because we are the church, period. We don't just gather on Sundays, be the church and be peaceable, then switch the hat off and say, now I go and bear the sword with the state. You are just always the church. Ephesians 6, we do wage war, but our battle is not against flesh and blood. It's not against flesh and blood. It's spiritual, not physical. Philippians 2, our mind should be like Jesus, which means self-sacrificing. That is the journey of Christ that is described in Philippians 2. 1 Peter just says, we should always walk in the footsteps of Jesus, who, and the examples he uses, was nonviolent, who loved his enemies but would not aggress against them. And that's just a quick overview of what is at the heart of New Testament teaching on enemy love and nonviolence, peace and reconciliation. There's more we could say. 2 Corinthians tells us the message of the gospel is the message of reconciliation. We're going to see that here in Ephesians 2. And while it's a message of reconciliation between us and God, the New Testament pattern is always what you have received from God, offer to others. What you have received from God, offer to others. You receive forgiveness from God, be a forgiving person towards others. You receive mercy from God, then be a merciful person towards others. And you receive his enemy love, then love your enemies.